Have you ever wondered why Satan so desperately wanted the body of Moses after his death? This question might seem unsettling or even bizarre, yet it's deeply rooted in biblical accounts. Moses, a towering figure in history, led the Israelites from the shackles of Egyptian slavery to the doorstep of the Promised Land. He was the conduit for the 10 Commandments, a beacon of hope and faith. But what transpired after his demise was shocking. According to the Bible, God laid Moses to rest in an undisclosed location. Yet a peculiar event unfolded. There was a fierce altercation between Angel Michael and the devil over Moses' remains. This isn't a tale spun from thin air, but a reference from the book of Jude, verse 9, where the archangel Michael and Satan lock horns seriously over the body of Moses. This scenario raises more Moses' death questions than it answers. So let's delve into the biblical events surrounding Moses' death and this peculiar dispute. Moses, the man who had led the Israelites out of Egypt, who had received the 10 Commandments directly from God, and who had guided his people towards the Promised Land, was now on the verge of death. His life was filled with extraordinary encounters, divine revelations, and powerful miracles. Him his ministry. God had specifically asked Moses to speak to the rock, so that water would gush out and the children of Israel would drink. But unfortunately, due to the pressure from the Israelites, Moses, out of anger, turned to the people and said, "Must we always bring out water for you to drink?" Although this statement might have sounded innocent, it had very serious consequences. The first mistake Moses made was to use the word "we." Instead of saying God, it was God's power that was to bring out water, and not Moses. By saying "we," it meant Moses attributed some level of power to himself. Secondly, Moses struck the rock, when God had actually told him to speak to it immediately after doing this. God told Moses that he shall no longer enter the Promised Land because of his error. Think about it. Can you imagine all that Moses had gone through just to miss it at the end? After which he died, the book of Moses. Burial, Deuteronomy 34, 5 and 6. Nar Ates, the event of Moses' death, it says. So Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in the burial of Moses and the celestial dispute. The Bible tells us that Moses died in the land of Moab, according to the word of the Lord, and that God himself buried him in a valley opposite Beth Peor. However, to this day, no one knows where his grave is. This event is extremely unique, as we rarely hear of God performing a burial. The Creator of the universe personally taking charge of a man's burial demonstrates an extraordinary act of love, respect, and honor. This reflects the special relationship that Moses had with God, not just as a servant, but as a friend. The mystery of the hidden tomb. Faced with this fact, a question arises. Why did God choose to keep the location of Moses' burial a secret? The answer leads us to a deeper understanding of divine wisdom and Satan's cunning plans. In the Epistle of Jude, we find a surprising account. The archangel Michael and Satan engaged in a dispute over the body of Moses. This was not a mere earthly disagreement, but a confrontation in the heavenly realms. Satan, in a bold move, attempted to claim Moses' body, but was met with firm resistance from Michael, who, instead of acting in his own power, declared, "The Lord rebuke you." Here we see Michael's humility and wisdom, recognizing that the authority to rebuke Satan comes exclusively from God. Satan's interest in the body of Moses. But why was Satan so interested in the mortal remains of Moses? What could he possibly gain from it? One possibility is that Satan wanted to prevent Moses' resurrection or assumption into heaven. Perhaps he wrongly assumed that God intended to take Moses into glory, just as he did with Elijah and Enoch. This hypothesis gains strength when we consider Moses appearing with Elijah on the Mount of Transfiguration with Jesus, as recorded in the Gospel of Matthew 17:1 through 3. Another plausible reason is that Satan may have wanted to use Moses' body for some evil purpose, perhaps to deceive the people of Israel, leading them into idolatry or distorting their faith. Regardless of the exact reason, the dispute between Michael and Satan reveals Moses' importance in God's plan and the spiritual battle taking place behind the scenes of biblical history. Object of idolatry for the Israelites. Satan's motives. Remember the golden calf incident in Exodus 32? Satan, knowing the tendencies of the Israelites, may have intended to tempt them into venerating Moses' body or relics. This would have been an effective way to divert them from the true worship of God. In his wisdom, God may have hidden Moses' body to protect his people from this snare. A third reason is that Satan, who is referred to as the accuser in Revelation 12:10, might have wanted to accuse Moses of his past sins and unworthiness before God. He could have pointed to Moses' past failures, such as killing an Egyptian, breaking the tablets of the law, or striking the rock instead of speaking to it, as grounds for condemnation. The devil thrives on accusation and condemnation, and Moses, despite his great deeds, was not without sin. Lastly, Satan may have wanted to mock God's plan and power by seizing Moses' body. He could have attempted to claim it as a trophy, a symbol of his supposed victory over God's chosen leader and mediator. The devil, in his pride and rebellion, constantly seeks to challenge God's plans. But let's remember this: while Satan's cunning knows no bounds, neither does God's wisdom. God's power and wisdom are infinitely greater than Satan's schemes. Even though Satan fought hard for Moses' body, it was God who had the final say. God's purposes cannot be thwarted, and his plans cannot be foiled. Even in the face of Satan's craftiness, God's plans always prevail. No matter how deceptive and cunning Satan might be, God's wisdom, power, and love for us are infinitely greater. Worship focused on God alone. Second, it is a testament that God's grace extends beyond our shortcomings, and that his love is stronger than our past failures. Finally, this story serves as a stark reminder of the need to resist Satan's temptations. Satan is crafty, cunning, and will use any means to divert us from God's path. But as Michael the Archangel demonstrated, with faith and the power of God's word, we can stand against these temptations. Let us remember the story of Moses' body not as a gruesome battle, but as a testament to God's enduring protection and guidance. It is a testament that continues to resonate, reminding us of the importance of true worship, the power of God's redemption, and the need to resist Satan.